That's right.
Am I coming in better?
Yeah, it's much better now.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, there's always going to be internet issues. Before I do live streams, I try to go through and shut everything off in the house. Uh, so
Tell your kid to quit watching Jaws or whatever he's watching up there.
yeah, he's sick right now. He's sick right now, so I don't know what the hell he's doing upstairs. He shouldn't be doing anything. But hey, since we're back again, hopefully everybody's probably bailed on us, but I don't give a I don't care.
Yeah, it's all
So
good.
it's all good. But what I was gonna tell you is congratulations, man, on your fitness journey, dude. Like, tell me all
Oh,
about that.
yeah, uh, got divorced, which you know about, right? So,
Hmm. Yep.
uh, got divorced, moved back in with the parents for a while. 'Cause
Yeah.
she stayed at home with the kids, and I was in rough. I mean, I was already in bad shape from just some past shit, and wasn't taking care of myself, and then that happened, and I totally, the one thing I try telling people now, man, is don't wait to hit rock bottom before you change your life, because
Yeah. No
had I
shit.
changed my life beforehand, man, I might not be where I am now, right? Which
Yeah.
I've accepted it, moved on, right? And it's
Yep.
great now, but who knows what would have happened had I not had to wait to hit rock bottom to deal with the trauma from my childhood that I needed to, right? So,
Yeah, for sure, dude.
um, so then last a year ago, basically like this month, it was last May. I just decided one day, fuck it, I'm gonna walk, right? And it was like Forrest Gump, it was like walk, Forrest, walk. And I just started walking. I started with like a couple miles a day, then I was doing 5, and then like it was probably 4 days out of 7, I was doing 10 miles a day. I'd do 5 during the day between breaks and lunches and walking home from work, which is 3.5 miles. And then I leave, I get home, eat dinner, and I go hit the woods for another 3 or 4 miles hiking with my son and everything else, man. That's all I did. I mean, I stopped binge eating a lot, which I won't say I eat healthy, because I don't want anybody to think I went on some special diet. I really didn't. But
Yeah.
before, I'd sit down at night when everybody went to bed, and it was the only time I got to myself. So I'd sit down, pound down a bag of Doritos, and be like, "Oh man, something sweet would be really good right now." And then I'm in the cupboard getting into the kids' cookies, and then it's like, "Oh, there's ice cream too. Let's have at it."
Yeah,
So I
man.
stopped a lot of that. I mean, I still get into Doritos and all the cookies and shit. Just I'm not sitting down at 10 o'clock at night binge eating a bag of them. It's just not my thing anymore. So,
So how much did you end up losing?
about 115 pounds.
Son of a gun, man. That's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. In a year, it was a lot. People were like, "Are you sick?" I'm like, "No, I just started walking."
Yeah. That's all it takes
When I
sometimes,
first,
you
when I
know?
first got divorced, I lost a little bit, just because I wasn't eating and shit. Right. So
Right?
I lost maybe 25 pounds. But man, once I started walking, there's a lot to say about walking. First of all, it's good for you, right? I mean, it helps
Yep.
with your posture. It helps with your, everything, right? But there's a therapy also that I was doing for mental health issues. That's called EMDR, right? Which is basically eye movement, something. It's something. It's based on your eye movement, right?
Hmm.
And the therapist that actually developed it based on the fact that people that were like walkers and joggers regularly had all this success when they were going through all these therapies, because your eye movement back and forth while you're walking and running actually basically it releases all your inhibition, so you just stop being inhibited and like all the stuff that you got to deal with. You probably know how it is when you're at the gym, right? Everything just starts rolling through your brain, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's how it is, man. You just get that eye movement going. So kind of did two things for me. Put me in a better health position physically and mentally. I mean, I'm 50 right now, and I probably in better shape and better mental health than I've been in probably 20 years. So
That's
it's like,
amazing, dude.
yeah,
Congratulations.
well, I appreciate that. Thanks, brother.
And man, like in your specific case, going through, an extremely stressful situation like that, on top of all the other stuff that was going on probably at the time. I'm assuming it was like the last few years, right? Couple 3 years or so.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man, to be able to like make the decision to like change your life is like that's an extremely. I don't think people realize how tough that is to do for people. you know?
Well, I'll tell you, we got we got divorced, and it was about, I want to say, a year and a little bit more later, right? And it was Thanksgiving Day. I'll never forget it, dude. Thanksgiving Day, because we still have kids. I went over there for Thanksgiving, and we were talking and shit, right? My ex-wife and I, and she told me that she was starting to see this other guy, right? Kind of set me off, set me over the edge, right? Hey, man, I'll be honest, and I'll tell anybody the story, man. I overdosed on so many drugs, not even funny, right? I mean,
Wow.
like I was at that point, right? And funny thing is I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, right, to my phone ringing, and on my phone it was my ex-wife's name calling me, right? Woke up, couldn't friggin' figure out where the hell I was, right? Because I was so fucked up on all the drugs that I taken. Because I had so many mental health drugs and painkillers, right? I just took everything I had out of the cupboard, and at that moment, man, something just clicked, right? I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I had enough wits about me to pour whatever was left in the coffee pot into a cup. I chugged that down real fast, drank a bunch of water, went and puked a little bit, and then I went for like a 2 mile walk, right? And I mean, I was not in any shape to walk. I mean, it was 3 o'clock in the morning, pitch black. I live out in the middle of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
So I'm
Upper
walking
view.
up and down the road, just trying to work it all out. I came back in the house about 5:30 in the morning, made a pot of coffee, sat down, and was like, made myself a list of what I was going to do to fix my life, and I've stayed to it, man. Just fuck it.
That's awesome, dude. I don't want to say I'm proud of you because that's kind of weird saying you're proud of somebody. I guess I'm like I'm just like I don't know what word to describe it. I'm just like I'm happy for you that you figured
I
it out
appreciate it, man. I
in
know what
your
you
own
mean. I
way.
appreciate it.
It's kind of funny, like not to go into like the last 3 years because I think you know how it is with people. People are so polarized by talking about that topic. But the last 3 years, I had a lot of friends that they went down. Like they put on a ton of weight. They started drinking too much. They just started letting the little vices become their big vices.
Right, no doubt.
And I, on the other hand, made a decision when I locked down, man. I'm like, you know what? When everybody quit working out and everybody quit eating right, I doubled down on it. I just kept doing it. And I grinded every day. I mean, I get up at like 4:30 in the morning, went downstairs to my gym, my home gym. I had a home gym for 20 years. I went down there every day and just did it because for mental health issues, just like everybody else around you is going insane. I told my wife a million times, I'm like, all I got down here are these kettlebells and this is the only thing I have, in order to help me keep my sanity. And
You
that's the
know,
best part about fitness.
I think I mean, COVID really had a more profound effect on people's mental health than anybody wants to admit, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think it's ridiculous that we use COVID for an excuse for everything nowadays, right? But as
Yeah.
far as that goes, I mean, like, I can tell my kids, my son's 17, my daughter was a senior in high school, completely messed up their whole, childhood, their last couple of years, right? I mean, like, my son, he's a really great kid, and he's getting out of his shell now. But for the last 2, 3 years, right, since 2020 when COVID was hitting, man, like, talk about social anxiety, right? He didn't want to be around people other than me and our family, right? It's just like and my daughter was the same way, right? She's got her friends, but other than her friends, she didn't want to be around people, and it's just amazing to see like how different everybody took that COVID situation, right, and reacted to it. Hey,
Yeah.
Mr. Wonderful, Mr. Largo.
Yeah. We'll
Oh,
talk
got
about. I'll talk
Slaughter
about him.
Marauders in the house.
Yeah, I'll
Nice.
talk about him here in a second. Yeah, it is crazy to see it all. It was a wild. I mean, obviously, I
I
could do.
spend my whole life now, man, just helping people, man.
That's a
Like I
great. That's
tell
great,
people, like
dude.
like the mental health May thing, right? My friend Teflon there, right? He's got some anxiety issues he deals with, right? And like I tell my kids all the time, right? If you're depressed, you're living in the past. If you're anxious, you're living in the future. The only thing you have is
Yep.
this moment right now. And if you're not present in the moment you're living in, you might as well not even be alive, because this is all you have. The past doesn't
Every
even
single day.
exist. Future doesn't exist. You know, I feel like the turtle on, Kung Fu Panda, right? I mean, like, the past is history. The future is a mystery. All you have is the present, and that's why it's called the gift, right? It's like,
It's like I tell everybody, like, you
oh,
is what you
exactly,
make
right?
it. You know, and that's kind of what I've started to do, like with this YouTube channel. When I started the YouTube channel, it was, I'd left Facebook because I knew that things were just going to get super weird. So I left Facebook, and I was getting tired of the GI Joe groups because I just didn't vibe with those dudes very much.
Facebook went off the
And I'm
rails,
still
dude.
like, I'm back. Yeah, I know, and I'm still back. I got back on Facebook to activate my Skunkworks page, so I could just promote my YouTube stuff,
Right,
right?
right, right.
And I left all the groups except for maybe one, and I just don't like. I don't really want to. I don't have anything to do with those groups. Very much. I mean,
Yeah.
I think there might be a couple I'm in. It's just like not. I'm not interested in it. I'll share people's stuff. I enjoy some people, but I don't like being part of a group anymore. I
Yeah.
like doing my own thing. And when I started the YouTube channel, I just wanted to do my own thing, my own way, and do it to the best of my abilities. And I've enjoyed it ever since then.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like the YouTube groups when we knew first started back way back in the day, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they were all pretty lax. Everybody was getting along, everybody's getting, enjoying it. And as soon as you start getting like, 100 members in these groups and stuff, all of a sudden it's like you got these little divisive little pockets, and it's like everybody wants
Yeah.
to battle everybody else. And I was the mod of that one group, and I was like, man, this is just nonsense, right? You people are, I mean, I have less complaints about drama from my teenage daughter than I'm getting from half you,
Yeah.
40-year-old guys on here, right? I'm like, come on,
Yeah.
dudes. I'm sorry the
Yeah.
guy hurt your feelings. Grow a set of balls and move on with life.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I tried more than anything nowadays not to take things personal. Like,
Yep.
I get a lot of, I get a lot of shitty comments on some YouTube posts that people don't get to see because, they monitor a lot of those posts, and some of them are bots, but some of them, people are kind of mean, and same thing on Instagram. I try not to just take it personal because I realize, like, I don't know what that person who makes that comment, maybe he had a bad day, maybe he's going
Right.
through a tough time. And even like, even with people that I know who might get a little upset with maybe some things I say on the channel. Like, I think I kind of felt like when I did that Art Lab cryo tank build, and I kind of had some complaints about certain things. I
Yeah.
felt that Cotswold, they put an email out talking about how, reminding everybody that they're a small business, and blah 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 blah. And I kind of felt like that might have been aimed at me, and I felt like they've kind of ghosted me ever since then.
Yeah.
But I don't take that personally. I understand, like, maybe I don't know, and maybe that's not the case. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but
But
I
it's
don't try
rough because
like.
you're like friends with Randall, right? Who designed it,
Yeah, I
right?
am. Randall and I talk a
Right.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're friends with, Greg's a good guy
Yep.
at Cotswold. It makes
Yeah.
it tough, right? Because
Yep.
it's like, you don't want to hurt your friend's feelings, but like your reviews, right? I've seen you review everything from those Art Lab things to Mezco Conan to NECA figures, right? Which is a wide, vast variety of shit, right?
Yep.
And just like I tell, a couple of people that I talk to on Instagram and stuff, right? And YouTube, right? I'd rather have a legitimate review than all these people just shilling for these companies, right? And I'm not saying anybody's a shill, but there's shills out there, right? There's people that get paid, sign those contracts, right? And
For
it's all,
sure.
oh, Hasbro is the best, Hasbro is great, right? I mean, it's like I don't know if you watch the Foosh, but like I love Robo, he's a funny motherfucker, but like, damn well, he signed a contract with Hasbro because he talks about how great Hasbro was all the time, and it's like some of the figures he reviews and gives flying colors for, I've reviewed, myself, and it's like they fall apart, right? It's like, come on, dude, just
Yeah.
be legit about it, right?
I think Tony from Analog Toys really, really, really summed it up in that one video he did.
For sure, right? The
And
thing
he
with
gets a lot
Tony
of
is though he's
crap
kind of
for
out
that.
of it, right? Because Tony reviews toys from the 60s and 70s and some
Right.
80s, right? But I mean, it's like, I like Tony, don't get me wrong. Tony's a great guy, but he can be just opinionated as everybody else, right? He's got his
Yeah.
little group of people that he's with, right? And which is fine. Everybody does, you know, but
It's all subjective.
just give it to me straight, right? If the
Yeah, I
figure
mean,
is good, except for it's got bad elbow articulation, right? Then tell me, right?
yeah, it's all like, you know, toy reviews are all subjective. And I laugh because I always call mine like shitty toy reviews because I do little to no I do little to no research on the backstory or anything. I just pull the guy out, look at him, and tell you what I think of him like I'm a 12-year-old kid, you know, like.
Right.
And
Well, that's how I am, right? If my figure can stand, I mean, you've probably seen some of my Instagram posts. I can post
yeah,
some pretty damn serious shit, right? If I can get them in a matrix pose and they'll stand there, it's good. It's thumbs up for me, man.
that
That's it.
that brings me to my next question. I was going to ask you, like, so do you, when you take your pictures on Instagram, do you do any like do you need like not do you need like Photoshop to do like posing with those clear plastic stands and then like cut it out or anything or what?
No, mine are all. I don't use stands at all, dude.
Yeah, you guys do look great.
Yeah, I don't. I don't use any trick photography. Once in a while, the Teflon guy that I collaborate with a lot on there, he might throw a flame effect in there or something for me, or a fire, blast from a rifle. But other than that, dude, no stands, no strings, no wires attached. It's just if I can't get the figure in that stance, he's not standing there, dude.
Yeah, all
That
those
picture's not
pictures look
getting done.
great. They
I
look great.
appreciate that.
Yeah. So what? So when did you like? Because you and me were like basically huge into the 12-inch Adventure Team stuff for probably, I'd say we were hot and heavy for probably 3 or 4 years, maybe.
Maybe
So
longer.
when did you make the when did you make the transition to the 112 figure, and why did you do it?
It's your fault.
Shit.
A year ago, I asked you about Action Force, and you said, "Yeah, they're good figures." I reviewed Sergeant Slaughter, and that was it.
Yeah.
Man. I went and bought a couple, and that was it.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, I had basically kind of started collecting some smaller figures because, of course, I'm a big DC fan, right? So I wanted some Batman shit, right? My son's a big DC fan, so we started collecting McFarlane, right? And then that kind of transitioned to some other figures, and of course, being growing up GI Joe, right? I wanted to get into some classified, so I bought a couple classifieds. But I've had 4 classified figures. I customized my gung ho, and some guy offered to buy him from me, so I sold it to that guy, right? 'Cause, I mean, it doesn't matter to me none. He wasn't anything, it was just a figure to have, right? To see what I could do with it. Then I bought Flint, and Flint's still in one piece. But then I bought Recondo and I bought Spirit. Spirit's leg broke when I was trying to pose him one time.
You told me that.
And
Yeah.
Recondo, I had him standing up on an Action Force stand, and his ankles were so weak that he actually leaned forward, fell off my shelf, landed on the floor, and broke his arm off.
Really?
Yep. The
Jesus.
peg on that thing is so short, it's like, come on, Hasbro. I mean, you guys are supposed to be like the best toy company in the world, right? You created the phrase action figure. Get your shit together.
Yeah, I don't. Again, you can.
So this is my Recondo now. He's based off an Action Force body.
Yeah, that's a great looking figure. I love it.
Got the Recondo head, the hats from what's his name from Jurassic Park, the Dino Hunter guy from the first one.
Yeah, I can't remember that guy's name, but I know you're talking about.
And then I made his pants look like Rekondo's.
You painted those?
Yeah, I painted those up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So the figure, like the head sculpts and stuff that they do for Hasbro is amazing, but the pegs on the bodies and stuff is so short. But realistically, I kind of had already gone into that 1/12 world. But once I got a couple of Action Force guys and was able to like pose them the way I wanted to, I was like all in, right? And then, I mean, I still love the 1/6 scale, but I started leaning away from that just because it was so big, right? And I wanted to build stuff and like all these dioramas. Like my Egyptian tomb diorama is, I think it's like 2 foot by 2 foot by 3 foot, right? It's just gigantic.
Your 1/6 one?
Yeah, right. And I still use it for my 1/12, but I mean, it's gigantic, right? And it's like, it takes up a whole counter in my kitchen that I just leave it in because I got a little counter off on the side of my my kitchen, right?
We should
So
tell. We
that's
should
in
tell.
there.
We should tell
What's that?
everybody that. We should tell everybody that story real quick. Those of you guys out there that don't know, I used to send stuff back and forth together to take photos. And I had this really dope Egyptian sarcophagus. I got it at Hobby Lobby on clearance for like $2 in like 2001 or two. Had it forever. Would use it every once in a while. Then you wanted it for a photo story,
Yep.
and I probably did a really shitty job packing it, but I sent it via U.S. Postal Service, and they destroyed it. And you got it,
Yeah.
and it was shattered into pieces. And I'm like, oh my god, just keep it. And I think you put it back together.
I did. I
But
actually used some Sculpey, recasted the bottom because
yeah,
it's all like indented with some hieroglyphics on there. The only thing I never put on because I couldn't find it in the box was the little thing that King Tut or whatever had on his head. Remember he had
the
that little gold
Cobra
thing on
and
top?
the other
Yeah,
thing.
Cobra thing. I can never
Yeah.
find that in the box. So even though, I mean, the box was destroyed. It wouldn't matter how you packed it. The way that box showed up, it was ridiculous, right? And of course,
Yeah.
it's like plaster or clay or something, right? I mean,
It's like it's like that polystone stuff that
yeah,
breaks
polystone, yeah,
pretty easily. Yeah.
They should have made it out of resin. That thing would have never broke.
So how many Action Force guys do you have now?
Ones that I can see right now, I have about 10. I just sold a bunch of custom ones that I made. I only have a few figures that I really get attached to that I'll never sell. Some of the customs I make, I use them for photo stories and enjoy them for a little while, and then send them on down the line for somebody else to enjoy, and that way I can have some income for the next figures.
Who's your favorite character from that line? Because there's a lot of really good characters in that line.
I don't have any because all my Action Force guys are custom.
So you do a lot of people do that. That's probably the coolest thing I think about the 1/12th line of figures is the interchangeability of all those lines.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing like with Action Force, all their body parts are the same size, right? So you could take the legs off of one guy, put it onto another. You take the arms off of one guy, pop them into the sockets. The heads are all the same neck post. That's where Hasbro missed, right? Because they created all these different sizes, even figures that you would think would be the same size, like Flint and Duke, right? Different size neck posts. You can't take Flint's head and just pop it on.
Man, I don't want to be all conspiracy theory, but I kind of feel like they did that on purpose because they didn't want their shit on the Action Force stuff. There's definitely a low-key competition between them.
Oh, for sure.
You know what's even funnier? What's even funnier is I very rarely delve into the comment section on stuff, but to watch the comments and the fights between the Action Force people and the G.I. Joe fans is pretty funny. It's like, this is hilarious. Yeah. These are action figures. You tools are fighting over this.
I know. And it's not like Action Force is great. No, G.I. Joe's the best, like I get people have a lot of ties to G.I. Joe, right? It's what we all grew up with, right?
Yeah.
And especially guys that are, like 5 to 10 years younger than us, really grew up with the Real American Hero. You and I were like, 9 years old when the first, Series 1 came out. I mean, I think I got Grunt was my first guy, right? My first Real American Hero figure, right? And
Stalker.
I got some more after that because I kept collecting figures, but we were like 9 or 10, right? We were at that age where we were done, right? So I understand the love for G.I. Joe, but it's like, you can't tell me a figure that falls off the shelf and breaks is the same quality, same, goodness as a guy that I can knock over 1,000 times, I mean.
No, it's not. And
I do a lot of customs. Like this is the Punisher. He's based on one of the basic black figures that Action Force did, and I got the Marvel vest, but the vest was crap, right? So I cut the skull out and glued it to Action Force vest. And then this is Condor's head, and I just painted the hair black so it looks more like Frank.
Right.
So my favorite guy that I custom was probably this guy, right? And I named him Sergeant Brown after the Sergeant Brown from the Eagle Force. Remember Mego's Eagle Force?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And that's this guy here.
I love that guy. That guy's great.
Yeah, he's my favorite guy probably.
I really like those Boss Fight Studios Eagle Force figures.
Yeah.
I wish they'd do those in 1/12. you imagine they did a 1/12 line of Eagle Force figures?
Yeah, it'd be amazing. I bet you had they come out with the 1/12 Eagle Force to begin with, and not the 4 inch, trying to stay true to that smaller scale, right?
Mhm.
I mean, Eagle Forces were what, 2 inches or 3 inches metal when they were first
Yeah,
come out.
yeah. They I think they were that. I think they're 2.5 inches metal,
Yep,
5-point
I had a
articulate.
shit ton of them, man.
Eagle.
Sergeant Brown and Turk were my two favorite. I had the Eagle Force Island, and then I had the Jeep. And the Jeep, you turn it on, and it had a battery power, right? And
Yep.
it had that thing on the front and the back. When it hit a wall, it'd go backwards. It hit a wall, go forwards. It was like so awesome.
Dude, I can remember when there was a dime store in my town called I think, and no, Index. It was called Index. It was up on our square. For those of you guys don't know what a square is, you're downtown in a small town. But they had a cool back toy room, right? So they had all these toys, and they had some of the craziest toys. So they would have a whole back wall, and you'd have all GI Joe, Real American Hero. You would have Remco Sergeant Rock,
Oh, I love
and
Sergeant Rock.
you would have Eagle Force, and they had all of it. And there's a tiny little toy store, and it was just so cool. You have Masters of the Universe, but yeah, it was just that's the best thing about, in my opinion, about today collecting today. And I don't know what you think about this, but you do have like a continuity of scale between manufacturers for the most part, where we never had that as a kid. Like Eagle Force was smaller than GI Joe, Mask was smaller than GI Joe. There was no continuity of scale where there is now, which is genius by manufacturers,
Oh,
especially
for
if you want
sure.
to do like kit bashing. You know,
Yeah,
um,
I think what Eagle Force and Mask are pretty close, right? Because I mean, I got
yeah,
into Mask. Like I said, I was probably too old for toys at that point in time, right? Because Mask came out when we were probably 10 or 11, right? But I didn't care, man. Mask was
yeah,
awesome, right? And
Mask was awesome.
I remember I used to make all sorts of crazy vehicles out of my construction. Remember construction, Fisher Price? I used to make all sorts of crazy vehicles out of that, and they fit like the Eagle Force and the Mass figures fit in the seats that were designed for the Fisher Price figures that came with the constructs. And my brother, God love older brothers, but he was 2 years older than me, So I'd build this amazing vehicle with jet rockets and stuff. It'd be like a hypersonic tank, and he'd be like, "Man, if this thing was going Mach 1, it'd smash and just fall apart." And he'd take it and just drop it on me, right?
Jesus
Yeah, he
Christ.
was. We were pretty brutal to each other, me and my brother. But
Yeah, I had older brothers too. They're all bullies.
yep.
Or my personality is the way it is. But yeah, I love the way things are now. I totally agree with you on Hasbro, and Valaverse is great. I think Bobby's doing some really cool stuff. I can't wait to see what he does. I like Mezco. The only problem I see, and Bobby's kept the prices down, but man, the prices of that stuff is just starting to kind of creep up. Like
Well,
the Mezco stuff is like I
Mezco's
got
always been
this.
expensive, right? I mean, and you got
Yeah.
to give credit to Mezco. I mean, they do have a niche market, right? And it's cloth goods, and they come with a
Yep.
ton. I mean, I think it was Laser Pants or Bobby, maybe, or maybe it was Tony that had on the 3POA podcast at one time. They said open up a Mezco is an experience, right? And it truly is.
Yeah.
I mean, you open up the box, it's got 3 levels of stuff.
It's
Comes with a
crazy.
baggie to hold all your shit that you're not using. It's like holy shit, right? I
Yep.
only have I have two Mezco. I have the Skull Brigade, Death Brigade, or Skull Death Brigade, and then I have the
Mhm.
Holiday Gomez, which I love
Yeah.
Holiday Gomez, man. I have so much fun with that figure. It's not even funny.
I got this Conan. This is the newest Conan.
Oh yeah, he's gorgeous, man.
This is a great. I mean, this. I just did a review of this. It's a phenomenal figure. Like, there's
Did you
nothing wrong.
end up getting that Barbarian pack from them that you
I
were
did.
talking
I
about?
did. I was gonna show you that too as well. Hold on here, and I'll pull this thing out. Like, so here's the box it came in. Right.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
comes with. That's what I was gonna ask you on this stream. Is like, you know, I'm looking for a body that's comparable, and you sent me some ones. Um, this thing comes with a ton of shit, man.
Yeah.
Like, it comes with. Let me pull the head sculpts out here. Mezco is. I've got a lot of Mezco stuff. I mean, I have a lot of Mezco figures. I have a lot of their old figures from like 10, 15 years ago.
Oh,
I have like the whole Hellboy set.
Man, I would love to get a hold of their Space Ghost because Space Ghost is my favorite Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
Oh
But he
yeah,
goes for like 450, $500 now. It's like, man,
wild. So
yeah.
there's one of the head sculpts for the
I know I
Barbarian,
love that head sculpt.
and this the other one. So I'm looking right now. I'm looking out there to try to find. So if anybody's watching a live stream that does 1/12, I'm looking for like, and you sent me some bodies to look for.
Yeah.
To get some bodies for this Barbarian set because I'd
That
like
one I
to have.
sent you, the one I sent you was really muscular, and I think that'd probably be the best one, right? Because he's got some ripped muscles. Then it would just come down to making a loincloth, which is, nothing, right? I mean, that's
Right.
that's a simple task. And then boots, right? Boots would be the harder part. I mean,
Yeah. Um, yeah, because I don't think it comes with any boots. It's designed basically. This thing is basically, I think, designed to if you got an extra Conan, you want to spend
oh,
an
it was
extra hundred.
definitely designed for you to buy 3 Conan figures from them
Yeah,
for
I'm not
125
buying.
bucks a pop.
I'm not buying 3 Conans.
Yeah,
Did you see that they've got King Conan coming out?
yeah. I'm interested in those
Yeah.
Super 7 Conans too, but Super 7, man, they have not been impressive lately. It's like what they
Well,
show in their pictures and what actually gets sent out is just such a difference. It's like
did you
you don't
get?
know if
Did
you're
you
going to
get?
get something awesome or something garbage.
I got the GI Joe Duke, and I like it a lot. I did a
Yeah,
review of it. I really liked it. I liked it.
but that was the reaction figure, right? Those are the smaller ones.
No, I got the. They actually, I got the Ultimates Duke. It's
Oh, you
like
got the
7
Ultimates. That's right. You
tall.
did get Ultimates. Yeah.
It's. I did a review. It's a good figure. I mean, but it is. It is. I mean, it's what it is. What it is. I mean, it's not gonna be anywhere near as impressive as a Mezco figure. It's an odd scale. It's more of a Nika size scale. It's not going to go with your GI Joes.
Right.
But I mean, it's a niche. In my opinion, it's a niche thing because I get what Hasbro's doing with the license. I mean, I guess if I was going to whore my license out, that's what I do. But it
Yeah. The
doesn't make a
problem
lot
with
of.
Hasbro is that they were. I mean, you remember back in the day, right? I mean, like guys would use the GI Joe name and they would get all over them, right? Cease and
Oh
desist
yeah,
letters and all sorts of stuff, right? Even
yeah,
just copying something that they created. And now it's like they got to hoard out to like I don't know 7, 8 different companies. I know Mezco has it.
yeah,
Super 7. There's some Japanese company that has it right now, and a couple other ones that
yeah.
have it.
1,000 toys. Have you?
Yeah,
Has any of the 1/12 Mezco GI Joe figures dropped yet?
people have Destro in hand. There's been some
What
reviews on that.
What do they think of him?
The one review I watched, they liked it, but it was typical Mezco, right? I mean, everything gets Mezcofied. It's like there's a head that comes with like a smiling Destro head, right? I mean, now in the cartoon Destro did talk, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's a chrome dome. I mean, I don't know how much facial expression you're going to get out of a chrome dome.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's a lot of creative liberties people take. I was wondering, because to me, the Mezco figures, the 1/12 GI Joe figures, are just like a premium classified figure to me.
Yeah,
It doesn't make sense to me. Like, why would you spend the money on the Mezco figure? I mean, I don't know. I guess
well,
if you're
that's exactly it, right? I mean, other than getting like the Storm Shadow, right? Other than getting the cloth Storm Shadow outfit, what are you getting for that other than a bunch more swords and stuff, right? I mean,
you just
just
get
spend
a
the
little bit.
$25 and get the Storm Shadow. I got the Storm Shadow for my son as his Easter gift, and he loves it. I mean, he's posing it all the time, right? It's like,
Yeah, I mean, it's like Sideshow versus Hot Toys. I
right. I
mean, you
mean,
get
like,
a little bit. You get it's $100 more, but what do you? I mean, what are you getting for the next hundred
right,
dollars?
right. Yeah. I mean, like
Like,
I remember when Sideshow and Hot Toys both had some Star Wars guys that were the same and
yep,
Indiana Jones. And it's like, okay, so Sideshow's hat is molded, and then they have a head that's not got the hat on, and then Hot Toys has the hat that's removable. But it's like,
yeah, it's I don't know.
other but
Everybody's
Mezco
kind of
for me, Mezco is one of those things like I'm really choosy about it, right? Like I've been probably surfing for I would say 6 months every day to score a Mezco Batman, and I'm not looking for the '89 Batman because I don't want any part of that totally rubber body, right? But they've had some cool Batman figures that they released in the past. I just been waiting for that one to drop on eBay for like $75, to score it, right? But it hasn't happened yet. But I look every day. That's the thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I think the only Mezco figure that I think I would buy right now, if they came out with it, other than a really cool Conan figure, if they came out with Japanese Spider-Man, I would probably buy that one.
Yeah.
I love
I
Japanese.
really like the looks of their Shadow figure. I'm gonna wait and see how that looks once people get it in hand, and if it looks good and it's decent, I'll buy a second, on the market and eBay or whatever.
I wish I would have bought Doctor Nocturnal.
Yeah, I know Doc Nocturnal's a cool guy
figure.
too.
That's a dope figure. I mean, that is a cool concept. Their whole Rumble Society is a very cool concept.
Well, I bought that. Vaporoni guy, right? The guy that had like the Irish sweater on. Yeah, I took a couple pictures of him, right? And he's a cool figure, but it's like he didn't really fit into my thing anywhere, right? I didn't really have anything to do with him, so he's like standing there, right? And some guys like, "You gonna sell that guy?" I'm like, "I don't know." And then like the next day, I packed him back up. Now I bought him off of BBTS because I missed a pre-order, right? Yeah. So I bought him off of BBTS for like 135, and I listed on eBay for like 175 because that's what they're going for, right? And I'm getting like $235. I was like, score, right? That's fine with me. I took a couple pictures with him, had some fun with him for a couple days, popped him back in his box, good to go, right?
Wow. Oh, I have something to show you that. So I was inspired by Dr. Nocturnal. I don't know if I think I sent you this, but this new villain I came up with.
Oh, that is gorgeous, man. That is awesome.
So I got what's the coolest thing is I got this Megatron pistol from Mark at Mark II Design. He had the 1.6 one. Yeah, he upsold me on this when he made some stuff for me. But the camouflage is all custom sewn. It's got
Where's that head from?
Well, this is the that I found at my parents' house one day when I was doing some shit. And I took it. I said, man, this could be a cool G.I. Joe head sculpt. So I took it home and I cast it, molded it and cast it, and then mounted it to a Cotswold neck post. So this is on a Cotswold body, and I created this guy.
I used so many of the stupid Halloween decorations, skulls for like just different things when I was doing 1/6 all the time. It was like they were a little large, maybe, but I mean they were perfect for it, right?
Yeah. So I got a big video coming on him, like a villain's build. He's going to be in a photo story probably next year. I made him specifically for a photo story.
Yeah.
And I'm making a bunch of stuff right now for Adam and I's photo stories.
Did you get to catch up on Adam's stream from Jim's last night?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It's great. That was a great stream.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to tell you. I love, man, those guys' commitment to pre-production is hilariously awesome. I'm like, I watched the intro. I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, my channel's such trash.
I know. And the funny thing is that Jim just started his YouTube channel. Like, I don't know, maybe he's on the chat so he can pipe in, but it wasn't more than 3-4 months ago, right? And I downloaded Canva the other day because that's what Jim uses, right? And I started playing around with it. I'm like, damn, Jim's older than I am. He's got this thing flying. So I'm sitting there, just trying to use Canva. And then he did that intro for our show when we were on his show. And then I was like, that was pretty good, right? And then I watched the one with Adam. I'm like, son of a bitch, that guy's good.
He's got a tech guy, and he's like,
Will is a good guy too, though.
He goes, I don't know anything about technology. I'm like, you are a liar, dude.
Yeah.
Those things.
He said awesome. He started in December. So what's that? 4 or 5 months, right?
Jesus.
Right?
God, is he a member like Mensa?
I love that. I love on his Largo's lounge that friggin' the black dude that comes on there spinning the records and all that. It's like, it's awesome. What an intro, right? Yeah. I'm like, I want to start a YouTube channel that's doing that, but I'm like, man, I can't even compete with Jim anymore, man. That guy's
I was like, I laugh. I'm like, I look at some of these other channels, even Paul has some pretty nice pre-production. I'm like, man, I'm still on freaking Apple iMovie, dude. I'm in the Stone Ages. I ain't changing because I don't want to jump in that wormhole, man.
Jim says it's all smoke and mirrors.
Oh yeah, that's what they all say. Yeah, that's what I tell everybody too. Yeah, it's all smoke
Right.
and mirrors.
It's not real.
No, it is. It's his channel's awesome. I can't wait to be on there again and talk shop with
Have,
those guys.
yeah.
Adam's
Have you
awesome
checked
too.
out the AWOC figures yet? The Animals Warriors of the Kingdom, the 6-inch ones? Well, I think
I've
like 6
seen
of them. Yeah.
those, but I haven't. I mean, I've seen your stuff on it and the stuff that you sent me.
Yeah, man, those
There's
are
so many
some
fun.
awesome figures. They released a game last night. I can't remember the name of it. It's Animal Wars Kingdom Battle, Primal Battle, and it's basically a board game you get to play with your action figures. Right? It's set
Oh,
up like
cool.
D&D, so you got dice and you got cards with powers and stuff that each character has, and so you can take this game mat that's like the size of a coffee table. It's like 3 feet by 4 feet or something like this. This board game, right? And you actually put your figures, 4 figures on the board at least, or I think that was the normal. That's the recommended number, right? Each person has
Yeah.
4 figures, 2-player, and you just battle it out to the last man standing. And each figure has speed and damage points and all sorts of stuff.
Have you been following that Savage Crucible? Have you been? Has that been popping up on your?
Ooh, I love Savage Crucible, man, but it's like I just got 2 Mythic Legions figures plus a horse, and man, those guys are doing some serious stuff, right? And Savage Crucible's right up there with them, right? It's like, man, I'm gonna
Yeah,
grab
I
a couple
follow some
Savage
of the.
Crucibles, Hella Dope Toys. I don't know if you ever checked them out, but if you're looking for 1/12 scale stuff,
Yeah,
check out
for
Hella
sure.
Dope Toys. They have a lot of the more common lines. Um, they're a small company, but I moderate their stream on Sunday nights. They have a live stream, so I
Yeah, I
moderate for them on
subscribed to the
that.
channel.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
they do some. I started buying them, but they have some pre-orders up right now for some of the Savage Crucible stuff. So I'll probably pick up a couple of figures, but you know, I'm past the point of being a completionist. I have this story going on in my head, like I've been telling, and it's like it could go from being a total, military thing to, the guys come through the Stargate, and next thing you know, they're battling the AWOCs, right? I mean, I have no idea where it's going next, but I'm not going to complete a figure line, so that I'm not going to go all in on a Kickstarter or something, right? But
that
can
Stargate you made's awesome, by the way.
oh, I dude, man, I couldn't. One day, my son's like, "Why don't you just make a Stargate, Dad?" Right? I was talking to him about something, and he's like, "Why don't you just make a Stargate?" I was like, "I don't know how to make a circle, dude. That's hard out of foam, right? I mean, making a nice circle out of foam is not easy, right?"
No,
And
it isn't.
he's like, "Oh, Dad, shut up. You can do it." And I'm like, "All right." I just happen to have a piece of foam. I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna try it, right? If I wreck the $7 piece of foam, I wreck it. Next thing I know, I'm like, bam. I'm like, holy shit. My son comes over. He's like, "You need some LEDs. Let's go." Next thing you know, we're driving down to Walmart to buy some LEDs. And then I'm like, okay, here it is.
I got to send that picture to Adam because Adam, he builds a lot of stuff and he has a ton of photo story ideas, and I'm sure if he sees your Stargate, he will figure out a way to make a Stargate for one of his photo stories.
Oh, for
Because
sure, right?
he's
I mean,
always.
my Stargate isn't too small. It's the center of the circle is 9.5 inches across. So
Yeah, it's big. It's big. I don't know how you get it's kind of it's got to be hard, right, to have something that big, and then you got the figure, and then to get that photo just right to
the
where it
biggest
doesn't
trouble
look.
that I've had with that so far is actually, yeah, because I want to get the stairs in there, right? Because I did a lot of work on the stairs which hold the Stargate, right? And it's like
Mhm.
trying to get the figure in the Stargate, and I've used some smoke screens and stuff. A couple of guys I've seen online have made some 3D printed ones, but like they did the infinity
I've
mirror thing where they put lights in there and it, goes on forever. And like just like I do with the figure stands, right? When I build my diodes, it's all practical, man. I'm not going to use smoke and mirrors or anything like that, right? It's like I want the figure to stand in there, I want the lights to be shining around him, and I want the figure to be coming through the Stargate, right? If I throw a little smoke in there and get that screen look, that's all I care about, right? I'm not
Yeah,
going to use
I get you.
wires. I'm not going to use trick photography. It's all just,
So you do those. Is it Teflon? Is that the guy's name?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you do those. Are those joint that I see all the time? Like, what is that? I see it
Some
and
of
I'm like,
them.
okay, you guys are together.
So the story we
Is there
told
an
with
app or something?
the story we told with the the monster story, right, with the vampires and all that. That was a collaborative story. We kind of each had our own little chapters we were writing. The ones that he's been doing lately are kind of his own little story, just like my AWOC story is kind of its own little side story. We're building up to do another collaborative one. It's going to be more of a post-apocalyptic storyline. We just
Cool.
do the pictures, kind of bullshit a little bit about what the storyline is. You know, probably like similar to you and Adam, right? This is the story we want to tell. All right, here's my shots, here's my words. You know, cool, man. Let's go post it up.
Have you guys thought about like doing like a compilation of all those stories and put?
Well, you know, it's funny because I was just talking to Mr. Wonderful, who's on the. He was on earlier. I don't know if he's still on, but him and I were just talking the day, and he's like, he wants to tell this story too with his action figure, and he's getting ready to launch his YouTube channel and a couple other really amazing things that he's doing. But he's like, yeah, I want to put him into a graphic novel when I'm all done. I'm like, dude, that'd be amazing.
Oh, cool.
I'm like, print a graphic novel of these, that'd be sweet. But I keep trying to figure out a way to like take them and do like you do with your photo stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with that is like you got to have, I like Microsoft Movie Maker. You probably used that back in the past, right? So
yeah, a long
Microsoft
time ago.
Movie, yeah, back in the day, it used to be free. You know, you used to be able to like take that and you could determine how long each picture was on the, you know, in frame for. So, because that's my problem, right? I want to be able to make sure people can read all the words, enjoy the picture before it moves on to the next one. So I'm still trying to work on that to create like one big compilated story, but haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah. By the way, Angelo D'Annabelle says, "Hey, he told me to say hi. I don't know if he's on the live. I don't think he made it to the live stream tonight. But
oh, Angelo?
Yeah, he does all those comics, and they're great.
Oh, Angelo's comics are great. I just stumbled on mine when I was pulling out those books for Jim the other night. I was like, oh, there's my Angelo comics, because when he first started making those comics, since I basically like introduced him to flocking, right? I mean, like he was asking me all about how to flock, right? I mean,
that's what he said,
right? I was, I don't know how many guys I got flocking back in the day, but there's a lot of flockers out. There's a lot of guys out there flocking now that, you know, I had no idea, right?
You're the flock father,
right? I was like, well, why are you sharing your secrets? I'm like, it's not money I'm losing, right? I don't care, right? Less I have to do, you know. I'd rather have everybody just enjoy the hobby. I mean, Mark Oates or Oatness, however you say Patrick, probably Mark's last name, right? The one day I happened to be surfing his site, and he had that how to start flocking guide, right?
Yep.
And I just read it. I had a dragon figure. I had some flock that I bought from, I don't think it was Hobby Lobby, but it was a train hobby store, right? Mm-hmm. And it was just like it was called straw grass or something. So it was kind of blonde, but not, you know, perfect, right? Did Mark's thing, improved it a little bit, came up with my own stuff, found Flockit, found what's the other flock place? I can't remember the other one, but found a couple of those, you know.
Yeah.
Flock Concepts or something like that, right?
Yeah, Flock Concepts, yep.
Yeah. Found a couple of those places, started buying the flock, just started doing it, right? I mean, it's like,
yeah. I miss
like
Mark.
You're like, yeah, I'm gonna build a flocking machine. I'm like, yeah, you go ahead, Jeff. I'll stick to my bottle, man. People are like,
I did.
What kind of flock? I'm like, man, I just use the bottle, right? I use a bottle and a little bit of elbow grease, and it's like, you're like, man, that's amazing. I'm like, I just do it, you know. I don't think about it. I just do, right? It's like
I about blew myself up making that flocking box. It was pretty funny. You know, because again, like I said earlier when we started this off, I'm an engineer by trade, but I'm also, I'm just like, I always tell everybody I'm an enigma wrapped in a riddle. You know, I'm an extrovert, but I work in a field dominated by introverts, and you know, it's just weird. People in my, you know, my
I'm absolutely the opposite. I'm an introvert kind of working in an extroverted industry. I mean, I'm in sales, so it's like sales and marketing. I'm like, how much more extrovert can you get?
That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is, man. It's just it is wild when you get around people, and that's, you know, like with our group, our Axis of Awesome group, it has like it's been interesting how it all started and expanded into what it is, and who knows what it's going to become. I think some of the guys get kind of fatigued a little bit from it, which I get it. I mean, there's
You know,
you get on some of the
that was kind of the
you get
problem
on
with
some,
the Facebook groups, right? I mean, it's like
yeah,
everybody was like trying to post all this stuff, right? To just keep relevant, maybe, or whatever that was, right? It was just that
yeah.
I think it's human nature, right? You just get that drive where you just want to, post so you can just stay on the top of that page, right? Whatever that is, right? And it's like you just get burnt out, man. That's why, like, the
You
pictures
do.
I take now, I might take a picture like, of like the one I took the other night of Mr. T sitting with Gomez, telling a stupid dad joke, right? And then
Yeah.
I took, but then the next day might be some amazing picture of, the next chapter of a storyline, right? It's
Yeah, that's the hard thing about groups. I don't know what you think about that, but like when you get in a group of people and you all have a similar interest and you all start talking, and then it always becomes what it is. But sometimes you'll have one guy who wants to make it something more than what it is, and then another guy doesn't want to do that. You'll get people that they have their own thing and they want to do their own thing. And I put out a message a while back on that. Like, it's not like our Axis of Awesome is not a club, and it's never going to
no,
be a club. And I don't like even being called the president. I think it's silly because I don't make decisions. I'm not a guy. I'm not an executive. It's just something I said in passing, and I think we're a group of guys who have a similar interest, and I think sometimes you got to be careful when you have groups of people because you people might get the wrong idea what our group is. Like, hey, I want to join your group, and it's like if you're watching the videos and you're commenting, you're in the group, like.
yeah.
And I think
Well,
some
that's
people
like
get,
the old Facebook groups, right? I mean, that's why I started my own back in
yeah,
the day, because it's like you had that little niche of, it's okay to post anything Adventure Team as long as it's true Adventure Team. You
yeah,
can't post Adventure Team over here because this is the vintage, 1960s military Joe. And then
yeah.
this one's okay, but it can only be so much. It can only be custom, but it can only be, customized 70s stuff. And it's
I
like, come on,
remember that
man,
shit. I'm like, come
right? And
on,
like
man.
I was with my GI Joes, I was no different than I am with my Action Force, right? Not a single GI
Yeah,
Joe I had was true to the original Hasbro. I mean, every single thing I did was custom. It was like, come on, man.
yeah. I don't do a lot of original stuff. I just make customs because I'm usually now I'm just making stuff for a lot of my photo stories, and then I'm also making stuff to share with other people and show them how to do stuff. And that's the cool thing about some of the guys in our group. We have a really good, talented 3D printer in Cody from Poplocks 4583.
Yeah,
He's
Cody does some amazing
he's
stuff, man.
he is a he's awesome, and I know he's busy with a lot of. He's got a wife and kids, and he's busy with a lot of family stuff. And we have a lot of other guys in the group who I think a lot of people are just getting busy, and I feel sometimes like I don't want any of those guys in this community to feel obligated to like be in the community. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't ever tell anybody that, but I'm like, hey man, you guys just do you, and I'm going to be your biggest fan in the whole world. I'm going to share your videos. If you make a video once a year, I'm sharing it. I don't
Yeah.
care. Like, and I worry sometimes we all can get wrapped up in stuff, and I hope our community doesn't become like the Facebook groups because
Yeah.
that
But
would really
it's like
make me sad.
it's like it's like Teflon, right? When I first started talking to Teflon, I made that Steel Brigade Golden Knight figure, right? And he messaged me on Instagram and he's like, "Hey, you mind if I make one for myself?" I'm like, "I don't care, dude. Go for it, right? If you like it so much it inspires you, I'm good. Go for it, right?" So from that point on, we just started, shooting the shit and going back and forth and stuff. And it's like he, when I first started talking to him, we always had this like hesitation about, well, are people going to like this? I'm like, it doesn't matter, dude. Do what makes you happy, right? If it makes you happy, post a picture. Who gives a shit if you get one like or 50 or 150, right? I said, it doesn't matter. Just do it.
Yeah,
And so now he's
I'm
like,
always
he posts all
excited
the
when
time, right? He's
somebody
like,
does it.
he's gone from, I think he had like 200 when I first started chatting with him and stuff and helping him out. And I mean, I don't want to sound cocky because he's helped me out just as much as I've helped him, but like, you know, now he's at like 550 or followers, right? From just in like
Yeah.
6 months, right? Because I just told him, post what you want. People either like it, and the ones that don't like it, you don't care about anyway.
No, I mean that's another thing I tell people. Like, don't chase likes and don't chase followers,
Yep,
because you'll just,
exactly.
that's the comparison's the thief of joy, man. And you'll find yourself always chasing that, and and never being happy with the things you create.
That's right.
And I I love it when I see somebody do a custom similar to mine, because I love to see other people's creativity. Like when Peter from the Skull Review fucking came up with that awesome, he found that those BBI G3 arms fit the muscle body. Dude, I was so excited when I saw that. I'm like, oh my God, like he just stumbled upon the wheel. And it was great because everybody after that just started doing it, and I thought it was great. And Peter, dude, Peter, he's an OG, man. That guy,
Oh yeah.
he's been doing this stuff for years, and I always love Peter. So, by the way, shout out to Peter. Peter sent me some 1/6 scale weights and kettlebells the other day.
Nice.
Like Peter's one of the most generous and cool dudes I know, and he's one of the people that inspired me to start my YouTube channel. Peter is always cool, and I love seeing Peter do stuff. And he's always got like cool stuff on his channel. Like he's just a cool dude.
Yeah. Now you got to get yourself a big dude with a mustache, right? It's like Teflon was just
Well,
Teflon
yeah,
was just telling me
I'm
today
gonna.
because he works at night, and he's like, I won't be able to watch your stream, but you're streaming with that guy with the sexy mustache, right? And I was like, yeah. And
you know,
he's like, tell him, if that mustache wasn't attached to his face, I'd give it my cell phone number, right? I mean,
oh my God,
I was like, well,
it's
he
funny.
used to have a sexy beard to match until he got sick.
Oh yeah, until I got that freaking infection and about killed me. Yeah, I miss my beard. My son misses my beard, but I think he's used to the mustache now. I'm gonna keep the mustache for a while because I think it's unique. I look silly. I don't care, you know. But it's just
The first time I saw you
it's
without your beard, dude, I'd seen you for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, right? With that full beard. I mean, I made
yeah.
your custom figure with that beard and the curled mustache, right? And it was like,
Yep.
I saw you out that
Here,
beard. I was like, holy shit.
that's that one you did right here, man.
Yeah. Yep. That's the one.
Yep. When you sent to me. Yeah, I mean, I had the beard for like 10 years, and then you know,
I don't know, dude.
things
Are you
happen.
going to dress up like an elf for Christmas this year? Because that mustache would really rock the Christmas elf.
I still got the elf suit, but we don't ring the bell for the Salvation Army in that anymore. I still have the elf suit. I haven't worn it for a long time. Maybe I will this year with the handlebar mustache, but I don't know. You never know. Sometimes you get that creepy. You pass over and get that creepy vibe. you cease being cool. But I think now that I have a toddler as a son, I think I'm not as creepy as probably what I used to be when you see me with a wife and
Yeah, right.
kid. I don't know, man. It's wild.
That
Dude.
elf's legs are really stretching out those red nylons, man. I'll tell you. Never
I
skip leg
know.
day.
Yeah, I know. I don't do nearly the workouts that I used to do because I'm older now, but I still go down and hit it hard every once in a while and laugh about things, laugh about my legs, how giant they used to be. They're not as big as they used to be, but they're still pretty silly looking on me. But
But like when we first started, we were talking about my weight loss journey, right? And it's like,
yep.
I live in Western New York, man. It's cold from October till, May, right? I mean, we just had 30 degrees last week, and I get out and walk and do my exercise as much as I possibly can, right? But just like everything else in my life, I'm a practical guy, man. I'd rather get out and take a walk or go hike somewhere than, go to a gym, right? Gym's just not my thing. And it was tough over this winter, because I stopped walking outside probably a little bit before Thanksgiving, but man, I get out there in like December, it'd be a nice, clear, sunny day, but that wind is brutal, you know, and it's like
Wind's
I think to
terrible.
myself now. I started walking about 2 weeks ago. We had a really nice day and went hiking with my son through some pretty heavy up and downhill woods and he's 17, man. He's up and down those hills like a jackrabbit, and he's in really good condition. He does a lot of like martial arts stuff, right? And all that
Uh-huh.
kind of stuff, right? So he's like a ninja through the woods, right? He could run up to you and not even hear him, right? That's how he is, right? And he go flying up this hill in like 15 seconds, and I get about halfway up. I'm like, I gotta sit down, dude. And he's like, come on, man. I'm like, I'm 50. So I'm gonna say,
Yeah. Yeah, my son runs me ragged. I mean, it's if I could bottle his energy and sell it, I'd be a
oh
trillionaire.
hell yeah, dude.
I'd be blowing rockets up like Elon Musk. You know what
Well,
I'm saying?
it's like I love watching like some of your videos of you and your son, right? Because it's like when
Yeah.
my son, and like I said, he's going to be 18 in September, right? And when he was potty training, I taught my son, I potty trained my son by sitting on a stool in front of him while he was on the toilet, and I'd give him superhero quizzes and Star Wars quizzes, right? What's the Hulk's, alter ego? Bruce Banner, Dad. What's Steve Rogers? Oh, he's Captain America, right? I mean, we go through this for like half an hour just sitting on the toilet to the point where his legs go numb because he wouldn't want to get off, right? That's how I got him to take a bath and just chill, right? And from that point on, like now he got a job, so now he's buying his own action figures. Every time
That's
we go
great.
out to the woods, he's always taking pictures with me. He's the guy that gets down into the weird positions when I got something posed in a creek, and I'm like, I ain't getting down there to take that picture. I did the setup, you know, hang over this rock, I'll hold your legs and take the picture, and he does it.
That's
So
great.
I hope that's for you and your son, man. I hope so because I love the way I love seeing you guys, him the
Yeah.
adventure team rope slide and all that, man. I'm just like, man.
He really likes a lot. Like down here in my office, he loves to come out and look at stuff, and he knows what's his and what isn't his, and well, it's all his. He knows it's all his eventually, but we really just started out just doing Hot Wheels stuff. We still do a lot of that together, and just we try to do that stuff. I think one of the reasons I have my YouTube channel is because it's for him. When someday when I'm not here, he's
Yeah,
gonna go. There's gonna be thousands of videos that he's gonna go back and be able to watch and see me. And once or twice a week on my way to work in the morning, I put my phone on memo and I record a memo to him. I just tell him what's going
that's
on in my
awesome,
day,
dude.
and I tell him what's going on in my day, what's going on in my life, what he's doing, and I have all these on a folder on my computer for him. Someday, I'm not gonna. when I'm gone, dead and gone, he's gonna have these folders. He's gonna have a diary of our life together, and he's gonna have this YouTube channel,
Dude, I
and
remember when I was a
that's
kid,
important.
I was in sixth grade and my great grandmother passed away, right? And I was really close to her. And I didn't know this at the time, right? But she had recorded for my mom and her five brothers and sisters all a little recording, right? On a cassette tape, of course, right? She had one of
Oh
those
yeah,
little players, you push the button, you inject the tape, it pops up from the top, the whole kind you see on the old police videos. And
right.
she recorded one for all of them. All of like I said, my mom had five brothers and sisters, and after she passed away, a couple months later, after they went through all of her stuff, they found these cassettes, right? And they're all labeled with my mom's name and her sisters and her brothers' names, and um, my mom listened to it for a couple of times, but then she gave it to me. And I wore that damn thing out because she sang, a couple songs that she liked on there, and was just telling stories about, what she remembered, different things, about like my grandfather, which was her son, and that's such a cool thing to do for your son, right? Because someday he's going to be able to play those for your grandkids that,
Yeah,
might not even be old enough to remember you by the time we're all gone, right? It's
yeah,
like,
yeah. I mean, it's just important to me. It's important to me to leave behind something where if you're having a bad day, just pop in one of my dad's messages. And I'm
right.
not. I don't. I just tell it. Just it's always a simple message. You end it, and just like that's what I try to do. I started doing that probably 2 years ago, I think.
That's awesome,
And
dude.
yeah, I do. I do. Well, yeah, I'm like like you. Just you start off small, just do what you can, and just try to figure it out as you go along.
Yeah, there's definitely no there's no instruction manual when it comes to, being a dad or a father or a mother for that matter, right?
Or
And
life.
it's like, it's like my ex-wife, right? I mean, things did not end pretty, but we were both, she was dealing with her mother dying and I was dealing with some childhood trauma, right? And it did not end pretty. And, you know, right now we've gone back and forth over the last 2.5 years, not talking on and off, right? But on her side and on my side, right? It's still all about the kids, right? Because that's what really matters. It's
Yep.
like
Yep.
if she called me right now and said, "Hey, we got to talk about, my son Luke or, one of my daughters," everything else that's going on would just be dropped, right? I mean, it wouldn't matter, right?
That's great.
That's just it's the kids, right? And
Yep. That's what comes first, right?
yeah,
I mean,
people get so wrapped up in just trying to spitefully hurt their ex or their baby daddy or whatever, and it's like, come on, man. That kid is going to grow up and it's just going to be messed up because you're an ignorant fuck.
yep.
Excuse my language, but
It's a perpetual problem. And
yep,
luckily for me, divorced back in 2010, I didn't have kids, so I got lucky in that respect.
yeah.
But you count your blessings on things like that. And I'm just glad, man, that you have made it to where you are right now. That's really awesome. It's
I'm
great,
going to
dude.
give you.
I
I'm going to
mean,
tell you two things that I learned along the way, man. Because like I said, told you in the beginning, man, I was on. I hit rock bottom, and I was dead. I mean, for all intents and purposes, right now, I should not be sitting here, right? There is no
I've been
reason at
sad.
all, right? Because I even asked my ex-wife later on that day when I finally came, got everything all processed, right? I was like, "Why'd you call me at 3 o'clock in the morning?" She's like, "I didn't." I'm like, "Well,
Oh, that's
somebody did,
wild.
right?" I was like, "Somebody called me at 3 o'clock in the morning, right?
That's
Wasn't
wild.
me." I went back on my phone, no missed call, nothing, right?
Huh.
But I know for a fact that motherfucking phone rang, and it was
Huh.
her name on there, right?
That's
And
wild.
that's the only thing that saved me, right? And from that point on, man, I'll tell you what, I walk at work on my lunch break, I see a butterfly, I'm like, thank you, you know, that butterfly is awesome, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
people don't put a lot of faith in, and I'm not like a big religious guy, like as far as Christianity and stuff goes,
Yeah.
man.
Me.
But
Me neither.
if you don't have faith in something bigger than us, you're never gonna believe. There's no reason to be here, right? Because
Yep.
something's, whether that's a matrix or whether that's a god or whether that's some whatever the force is, right? There's something there, and you got to be thankful for the littlest blessings that you have every day because they could be gone before you know it, man.
Yeah. I think of that often. I always talk about on my live streams or streams every once in a while the law of abundance, like just giving to other people and not expecting anything in return, because you never know. Like if you just send somebody something out of the blue, like you've sent me stuff out of the blue and just totally made my day. And it's just like, Peter sending me these 3D printed weights, or it just is like, it's such a nice thing to do. And it's those people like you and Pete and a lot of the other guys I know, and Adam and Pat and Elite Action Joe, and you can just tell like they're all really kind people. And I don't know much about. I mean, I don't know all you guys on a personal level. I don't hang out with you guys, but I know you guys are good people. And that's the best part about being in a community full of like just like people who have like similar interests, like action figures or whatever, comic book. I don't care what
Yeah.
it is. You meet people and you have a common interest, and then you're just kind to one another, and you develop a bond
Let me go grab
that's
something off my
awesome, man.
fridge. Let me go grab something off my fridge for you, Jeff. Hold on a second.
Okay.
I'll be right
All
back.
right.
I know everybody came here to hear about action figures, but we're going to get into a little deeper shit. So I had this on my refrigerator, right? And I have it on my bathroom mirror. And every morning, every time I get into my fridge, this is what I see, right? And like I said, I've been down a rough path, right? I mean, like my stepfather was abusive. I was sexually molested as a kid, right? I mean, like I've been down some shit, right? And
Just definite trauma.
so it's like, I mean, it's sad that I tried burying it until I was 48, and then when it all came out, right? I mean, that was
Like a big eruption of just.
oh yeah, it was just it was. Did you ever watch the movie RV where the tube for that he's trying to empty the shitter and the RV explodes and volcano shoots up in the sky with like a fountain of shit?
No, but that's.
Go watch that movie. You'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what it was, man. It was like Mount Vesuvius, erupting, and it was just shit, though, right? That was my life, right? All of it came out at once. But I live by these 4 things every day, right? Number 1 is kindness. You got to be kind to everyone because you never know what somebody else is going through, right?
Yep.
Number 2 is practice gratitude. Be grateful for every single blessing in your life, and gratitude always leads to greatness. Grateful for what you got, more great things are going to come to you. Number 3 is forgiveness. You need to learn how to honestly forgive and sincerely ask for forgiveness, and you got to forgive people for things that they didn't even ask for forgiveness for. Just because someone didn't say sorry doesn't mean you shouldn't forgive them,
Yeah.
right? Not for them, but for you, right?
Yep.
I had to forgive the guy that sexually molested me. He's not going to ask for forgiveness. He's in jail. Well, he's probably dead now, but he was in jail,
No.
right? He's not going to ask for forgiveness. But if I didn't forgive him, I'm just going to hold on to that, right? And that's not doing you any
Yeah.
good. And the last thing is love, right? You got to love yourself. You got to love others, love life, and love is the most powerful energy in the world, man. You just got to live it, right? If you don't live love and kindness and gratitude and forgiveness, you're never going to be happy, because happiness is a state. It's not something you create. It's not something that can be given to you. It is just a state of being, man. If you're not happy, you're not going to find it. You got to make it. That must have been too much power for you, Jeff, because you froze up on me.
Pieces there now. You got me?
Yeah, you're back now.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, those are four great things, dude, because as we wrap this up, we got to do this again. We got to do another stream too. We'll get it fixed next
Certainly,
time.
dude. We know what we're doing now.
I talk with a lot of my friends at work about a lot of stuff, and I always tell them, like I don't have a lot of answers to a lot of things, but I'm always like, it seems to me in the world there's just a real decline in morality. Like, I don't care what it is, like, just people don't really have any moral fabric anymore, and no self-respect or anything else. And not to go into a giant tirade on that, but that's a definite problem for me.
Sure.
And it's hard to see people acting the way they are nowadays. And it really, to me, just comes down to a lack of just moral obligation and moral fabric and self-respect. And it's like those 4 things you just mentioned, it's all true. And you don't have to be religious. You don't have to be all these things to be a good person. You just have to wake up one morning and really say, hey, I'm gonna start being, you don't have to be, just be nice to the first person you see, and you feel great.
Yeah.
And during COVID, I had a lot of battles with a lot of my friends over stuff. I think we all did. And there's a lot of times I got really frustrated with those people, and it took me a while to kind of work through it. But I kind of got to a point now where I've it's not worth holding on to that anger, and it's not worth holding on to anger with people, because it'll rot.
Oh, for sure, dude. It's like I just told Teflon today, right? Because he's got some shit that he's dealing with, with his father's a veteran, went through some shit, right? So his father was never, an emotional guy, right? And I'm like, I told him, I said, he was upset because he sent his father that post that he made today about the hopefully, Rob, if you're watching, you're not mad at me while sharing this, but he was a little upset about the way his father kind of responded to that. And I was like, listen, dude, your father's not that guy, right? He's not going to break down and cry. He's not going to, give you that, right? The only thing you can choose to do The only thing you have any control over is how you react, right? You can react to a situation negatively, you can react positively, or you can just accept it is what it is and move on with your life, because you can't control what that other person is going to say, what that other person is going to do. And so I told him, I said, listen, the key to happiness is letting go of all your expectations of life, all your expectations of other people, and just being happy with what you have. Because if you're not expecting anything, you don't have to worry about it, right? Because you're just going to be happy because that person's not going to disappoint you. That situation at work's not going to disappoint you, right? Now, we all have goals. We all have things at work that are still going to disappoint us, right? But how hard you latch onto that expectation is really going to make a difference in your life, right? And it's just the way it is, you know?
Yeah.
I could talk forever about this stuff, dude. So I'm sorry. I don't mean to drag this on.
No. I'm glad. Man, you know, don't worry. I mean, my one-on-one live streams they're for my channel because I just like talking to people. I don't care what anybody talks about, but I'm glad that you talked about all that, man, because for me to have you on here and not have you be genuinely you would not be me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it wouldn't be me. It's just like, I love talking to people. You and I have known each other for a long time, and I'm glad that you share everything you share, because, you know, if somebody on here watches this and they're having a rough time and they hear your message and they're like, yeah, it makes a lot of fucking sense, and you turn your life around, you know?
It can be done, right? That's what I told Rob, like, about the post we make about, like, last week, you know, when I posted that, or Monday when I posted that about my weight loss and, you know, the things I've done, right? I mean, I didn't do it to get people, you know, there's a lot of people that said, hey, congratulations, I'm proud of you, you know, you did great, whatever, right? I didn't do it for that, right? I did it because that one guy that reached out to me after I posted that said, hey, man, I really needed to hear this today. Thank you, right? That's what I did it for.
Yeah.
And I didn't need the thank you, but knowing that I helped him, you know, make it through the day is all I need, man. You know, it's all I do it for, right? And anybody on here or anybody else on Instagram, right, that ever wants to reach out and just need someone to talk to about getting it straight, man, I've been there. You know, when people say I've been through hell, I've been through hell, right? I've been there, right? I've been in the dark places, right? And you can get yourself back together, right?
It's all light. It's called light. Yeah, I call them. You know, it's a life merit badge. I got a merit badge of life. Hey, so I'm gonna wrap this up. But before I do, I came up with everybody. Everybody likes to do a list of questions. And I want to hit you up with a few of these, and I want to hit you up. Even this is, first of all, man, this has been awesome.
This has been great.
This again for sure.
I just need 2 seconds because I have to use the boys' room before I got 3 beers in me because we're an hour late. Someone didn't know what the hell they were doing.
Yeah, we are.
Let me run to the men's room real quick.
That's my fault. Well,
and I'll be right back.
Fault. Yeah, go use the restroom. I feel like we're on the Joe Rogan podcast. He's always got to pee.
Well, you know, after I don't know how big these are. How big are these?
Those are 16 ounce, man.
Yeah, they're pretty big. I'm at the bottom of my third one. So, and I had 2 cups of coffee after work before I had those. So,
I'll share some stuff with the guys in the live stream while you pee.
All right, I'll be back.
So all you guys out there watching, great live stream, by the way. Lyle and I have been friends. He goes by Ed. We've been friends forever. To get you guys all caught up, we were gonna start a live stream at 7, but I kept trying to share the YouTube link with him through Instagram. Which I guess I don't know. Started talking stream, so it's going to be odd when you start off. But this is a great live stream. This is one of my favorite live streams I've ever done, actually. It's great. And any of you guys out there who want to come on my live stream sometime, let me know, because I'm always trying to get guests on here to talk just about anything. I don't mind talking about anything, unless politics or religion. I just can't talk about that. That's just too polarizing right now. People get too fired up when you talk about that stuff. But This has been a great live stream. I hope you guys out there have enjoyed it, and I apologize for all the technical glitches. I know it doesn't really happen very much on my regular videos, but it happens sometimes on these live streams because I'm really new to this, and I appreciate all you guys who got on here tonight and watched this. I saw all your comments, and I really appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. I really do apologize for the lateness of it. So here comes Lyle. He's coming back.
All right, we're back. Thanks.
All right,
Needed a break.
Are you ready to do this? We'll start off. What's your favorite toy of all time?
What's that?
Your favorite toy of all time?
I would say there's two.
Okay.
One is something you just shared the other day, which is the Mighty Men and Monster Maker.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the reason that's one of my favorites, I was gifted that by my great-grandmother probably about a month before she passed away. So after she passed away, that just became like, my toy, right? I mean, I still have my original one. Like I said, it's missing some plates, but, I still have it. Next to that would probably be the Adventure People Mountain Climber, the male figure, which I think was originally called Dick, and then they changed his name to Steve. But
that's a great set, by the way. I had that.
Yeah. I never cared about Carol, but the guy with the grappling hook, man, I took him everywhere with me. It was just like he was the guy, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember when I was a young kid, I remember because the adventure team was out, the Defenders had some guys with beards, the Super Joe had some guys with beards, and then that was one of my favorite guys. Like I didn't think you could even go into the military without growing a beard, right? So I was always concerned about having to grow a beard just because I wanted to become an Army guy, right? It was like not knowing that the military didn't allow beards back then, right? But
all right, favorite Adventure Team character.
Favorite Adventure Team character. I'd probably have to go with everybody else and say the Sea Adventurer.
Okay, yeah, it's popular. It's popular. Yeah,
my favorite set would probably be the one with the dog sled. Can't remember the name of it right now, but
Fight for Survival.
Yeah, that would probably be my favorite set from the Adventure Team line.
Favorite, since you and I are about the same age and we both did G.I. Joe Real American Hero, favorite Real American Hero character?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would say there's probably two that I really gravitated to. The first one being Duke, because he was my first a Real American Hero that had an actual, that wasn't just the green guy in the fatigues. Like I said, Grunt was my first guy in the first series, but Duke was probably the first guy I had that wasn't just the normal green fatigues. And then I would have to say Stalker. I loved Stalker.
Yeah. Stalker's probably mine. Yeah, I'm right there. All right. Favorite comic book?
Anything with Batman in it.
Ooh, yeah,
well, I shouldn't say that. Okay. Batman's probably my favorite DC, and anything with Punisher is my favorite Marvel. Let's put it that way.
Okay, those are good. Those are both good. Similar guys.
I've always liked the guys'
demeanors, right?
My life is kind of like my life. If you look at everything in my life, it's the way it is, right? Like I like the Punisher because he's a real dude, right? There's no superpowers. It's just a badass with some guns and some fighting skills. Same with Batman, right?
Same with Batman.
Yeah, he's a guy with some toys and some fighting skills.
He definitely has a lot of toys. Okay, toy you never got but wanted.
Toy I never got but wanted. Ooh. I don't think there is one. Like if I had to choose one for my life now, I would say a Mezco Batman that's not the 89 Batman, right? But like when I was a kid, there was a lot of toys that my friends had and stuff, but I wasn't the type of kid that had to have all the Star Wars stuff or all the G.I. Joe stuff or any of it, right? It was like the stuff I had such a wild, like people asked me when I started taking photographs of toys, I was taking them with the flash cubes that you plug into the top of the 35 millimeter camera, you know, that my grandmother gave me when I was a kid, right? And I was taking pictures of my guys back then. My parents would buy me like a Tonka truck, right, that fit my Joes. I was happy with that, man. It didn't matter to me, right?
Yeah.
Things weren't like that back then, you know. It was like,
You're just living in the moment. Okay. So this next question is this is a New York question, but you're probably, I don't even know if you're going to answer it, but let's pretend the last years, 10 years hadn't happened.
Jets, Bills, or Giants.
It's a long drink.
Well, to honor my grandfather, who was a diehard Bills fan, and everybody else in my family, I had to go with the Bills, right? I mean, they're half an hour away. I drive by the stadium, you know, anytime I go shopping there, I have to go by the stadium. So, I mean, got to go with the Bills, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be honest, right? I followed Peyton Manning when he played for Tennessee in college. I was a huge Colts fan when he went to the Colts, right? I followed Peyton Manning through the Colts, then followed him when he went to the Denver Broncos. So outside of that, I've always been a Bills fan, even as a kid. Right? And, you know, when I was probably 10, I really liked the Dallas Cowboys, but that was because they had the hottest cheerleaders in the league. But that was the only reason.
Right? I think everybody when they're in grade school was a Cowboys fan. Everybody I knew was. It's just I
remember I went to a Bills game with my grandfather because he had season tickets for as long as I can remember, right? And I was probably 8, 9 years old, you know, and I was like, oh, the Dallas Cowboys are the best, and they were playing the Dallas Cowboys, you know. And I remember my grandfather was so disgusted because I made him, you know, back then they used to sell the pennants, right? You hang them on your wall, you know, you make a circle out of the pennants, right? I had him buy me a Cowboys one instead of a Bills one. He was so like, it was just a look of, you know, disappointment. He was like, how could you like the Cowboys? It's like,
nowadays,
they got hot cheerleaders, Grandpa. That's all I can tell you.
Nowadays, he probably puts you through a folding table.
Oh, for sure, right?
Bills Mafia. Okay. All right. You're a big Bigfoot guy. Okay. What is your theory on Bigfoot? Think he's interdimensional being?
I can tell you right now that he absolutely 100% exists.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But what do you? I always ask people: do you think he's like from Hollow Earth, interdimensional being, alien, or just an actual creature that exists that nobody has just had the opportunity to see?
I believe 100% that he is just a holdover from a different time, and he's got a really small population, and he's smart enough to know how to avoid human beings.
I like that.
And I know
we have Bigfoot.
I can tell you that I've had 3 experiences in my life. One of them, which was an actual visible sighting, just like kind of similar to Adam's that he shared the other night on Jim Largo's, right? And that's why I said what I said, right? Because you spend enough time out in the woods, you're going to see some shit you can't friggin' explain, right? And I spent most of my childhood and a good portion of my adult life out in the woods, and not just, you know, the local park that's, you know, an acre square. I'm talking deep woods of the Adirondack Mountains. Spent a lot of time up in the Algonquin Mountains in Canada, and if you research up there, there's millions of sightings every year of Bigfoot. I'll tell you one story. So we went up to the Algonquin Mountains. I was with the Boy Scouts. We went camping, and I was probably 16 or 17, so I was one of the older kids. And my scout leader was my friend's dad, so he let us basically do whatever we wanted as long as we weren't, you know, killing each other, right? So me and my friend and this one other guy took one of the canoes, and we were staying on this little island, and we canoed off the island to this other place. And we always used to like to explore, like, you know, you get down into like Pennsylvania and some of these other real forested places, and there's just those huge rocks you can climb up, you know, you, just humongous boulders left over from the Ice Age, right? So we were paddling along the shore bank and saw this big rock formation off to the side. So um, pulled the canoe up to the shore, pulled it up on shore a little bit, the three of us, and walked up to the mouth of this cave, right? Now, I was always the guys, my friends, haunted house, jump off a cliff, whatever it is, it's Ed, you go first, right? So Ed always went first. So we're at this huge rock formation. There's this cave, right? And you could shine your flashlight and you could see that it kind of curved around, right? And they're all like, "You're going first." Ed, I'm like, "I ain't going into that. I mean, there's big bears up here, right? I'm not going up into that." I was like, "Let's throw a rock down in there and see what happens first, right?" So we threw a couple of smaller, hand-sized rocks down there, and they just kind of bounced around. You could hear them, bounce around for a while. So we were like, "Wow, that really goes back there." I was like, "I'm definitely not going back there because there's something living back there for sure." So the three of us grabbed this huge boulder, right? I mean, it's a rock that I couldn't pick up on myself at that point in time, and neither could anybody else, right? So the three of us heaved this rock, and when I stepped into the cave, like 2 feet in, 2 steps in, you could see that it kind of angled down and into the cave, right? So we throw this rock down there, and it bounces, and you can hear it just go dunk, 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 and then it stopped. I took 2 more steps into the cave, thinking, yeah, I'll just walk in, no big deal, right? That motherfucking rock came back rolling out at me. Huge, like this big around. I was like, okay. We didn't stick around to even figure out what was going on. The three of us bolted. It was about a 100-yard dash to the canoe, right? Flew to the canoe. Me and the one guy jump in. And as soon as we jumped in, right, because we didn't push off, we just jumped into the canoe, right? Well, that released it from the bank. So it's sailing away. The other guy standing on the shore, jumping up and down, waving his hands, basically crying because he knows something's coming out of that cave to get us, right? So we're like trying to struggle, reverse the momentum of the canoe, right, to get back over to him. He jumps into the lake, onto the canoe, didn't make it, fell in the water, climbs himself back up in the canoe, and we just took off for the island, right? I mean, paddling as fast as we could. I mean, it was the scariest moment of my entire life because I was 3 steps in that cave, pitch black, had a little tiny pen light, right? And that big rock that hadn't moved in, 5 minutes come rolling back out. I was like, son
Jesus.
of a bitch.
God dang. Did you guys look back?
No, we didn't. We were gone. We were probably leaving a wake like a motorboat, man. We were gone.
All right. Last question. I ask this to everybody because I love these. What is your favorite conspiracy theory of all time that you actually think's true?
My favorite conspiracy theory that I believe is true is that our government was purposely involved with 9/11.
Boom. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Being in the military and seeing how things work and just seeing how things are today, I believe it more than I ever have in my life.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I always we talk conspiracy theories every day at work, like all of them, right? I give watch the Y-Files. I've talked about it. It's great. I like that show.
Yeah.
It's fun. Conspiracy theories are fun.
It's awesome that you have people at work that'll talk to you about that.
Dude.
I'm a manager, right? And I have one guy who's really a bitch, and I tell him that all every day because he complains about his wife being mean to him. I was like, quit being a bitch, right? His name's Ron. I'm like, quit being a bitch, Ron. Quit being a bitch. Tell your wife the way it is, right? Now, we all know that we don't tell our wives the way it is.
Yeah.
But this guy's, right? This guy needs to grow a set of balls, right? You know that Sam Kinison movie or the live thing that he did where he talks about how his wife got married and his wife took his dick, right? And he's like, honey, can I take my dick with me tonight because all the guys are bringing it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you, honey. She said, no fucking way, right? That's this guy, right? But the rest of them are like older ladies, right? And I mention like just weird things once in a while. I'll just, a reference, and they're just like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you people suck. You just suck.
Yeah.
Go back to your desk, right?
I'm lucky. I work with a really great group of guys. We have a really good core group of guys that get together. We have whiskey and cigars, and we talk about a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, it would be if I always told him if we could have a podcast and of everything we talk about, it would be the best podcast in the world, but it'd be taken down immediately.
Oh, for sure. Yep. Yep.
Hey,
the government would step in and be like, sorry.
They'd probably come to my house, take everything. Hey, dude, I've had a great time tonight, man. I really appreciated you doing this. I'm glad we finally got it straightened out, and I can't wait to do this again.
Yeah, how many people did we have in the chat tonight? I didn't even really get to see it.
It's hard for me to see because we're doing it on phones and not the computer. I'm gonna look into that, doing it on my computer. I'll try to download one of those programs and maybe if I can upgrade.
I would definitely recommend StreamYard. Like I said, with StreamYard, you can definitely have more people. It's no different, right? I mean, it's a real easy control. I used to do podcasts about 4 years ago with a group of guys that we all did like geek related stuff. We discussed toys, comics, Comic Cons, things like that. And we used StreamYard back then. It was great.
Yeah, I'll do that for sure, man. Hey, I've kept you long enough. I'm going to go up and get ready for my bed too. So thanks, man, for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, it was great, man. Anytime you want to jump on, you just, give me a holler. I mean,
yeah, we'll see each other on Instagram tomorrow.
But like, did you hear those two guys talking about that crazy shit, man? Those guys are nuts.
Those guys are wild. Hey, before we go, tell everybody where they can find your stuff on Instagram.
Oh yeah, I'm on Instagram at Action, as everybody likes to call it, but it's really just Action. But it's AKXION_figs. I'm the same on YouTube. I don't have very many videos on YouTube, but if anybody wants to learn how to flock, I do have some flocking videos on there.
You do.
One thing I wanted to tell you before we get off, Jeff, just to clarify, so you understand, because I don't know if we've ever talked about this, and we've been friends for a long time. So when I was born Lyle Edward Button III, right?
Okay. So
when I was 2 years old, my real father got into a car accident and died.
Okay.
When I was 4 or 5, my mother remarried, and her husband adopted me. And when I got adopted, they changed my name to Edward Lyle. So I kind of go by both names. And a couple of years ago, when you and I were talking, I wasn't talking to my mom. I had completely cut off all ties with my entire family because they were just way too much, right? So I started going by Lyle back then because, like, to honor my real father, right? He had me and my brother, and no one was there to carry on his legacy, And I was working on like changing my last name back to what it originally was when I was born. I'm going through that legal process and stuff. So I was going by Lyle, and then all that fell through because there's all sorts of bullshit in New York. I mean, New York State's about the worst state you can live in as far as any kind of laws you want to deal with. Next to California, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say California's pretty bad.
Yeah. New York, it's California, and California's over here, like on the other side of the country going, what's California doing? Oh, yeah, they're doing that. So let's do that. And that will make it 3 times more complicated, even though the laws won't be as stringent, but we'll make it more complicated. So no one really wants to deal with it anyway. Yeah. That's New York State. Working on moving to Columbus, Ohio myself. So hopefully
that's cool.
Soon.
Yeah, man, we'll have to meet up in PowerCon or something.
For sure. I'll be at PowerCon this year. But so that's why, you know me by Lyle, because that's what I went by back then.
Yep.
And then, when all that fell through and get my name changed, and then, now I just go by Ed again. So it's kind of what I went with for most of my life. And so that's why the name difference. But I wanted to explain it to you because I don't think we ever talked about that.
No, we never did. I'll just start calling you Led.
I'll tell you what, Action, my name, right? My daughter loves it. She's actually told me, she's like, I'm going to name my first son Action, spelled the way you spell it.
Action.
AKXION. I was like, that'd be awesome. If you name your kid Action, I will love you forever, kid. He will be my favorite grandchild. She's like, okay, I'm doing it because I want my kid to be your favorite grandchild.
That's awesome, dude. Anyway,
I'll let you go, dude. I could talk forever, but I'll let you go.
I'm going to go pee myself.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks, Jeff. Been great.
Bye, guys. Thanks.